it's only day one and I'm losing my mind because I'm already changed.
Incredible. And so many connections. It's crazy.
I came to take my speaking to the next level. They took my life to the next level.
Ain't no competition when you make it to the top.
More family time, more abundance. You've been made for more. Either you're in the midst of adversity, just came out of adversity, or you're about to head into some adversity. So you better be prepared for it either way.
Don't miss it because it's life-changing.
This program also took me mentally to the next level, to a higher level, if you will, and thinking about how can I serve? Because at the end of the day, I'm like, how can I massively serve people?
Oh, little fish, big pond, big splash, big bag. Little fish, big pond, big splash, big bag.
What's going on, world? Welcome to the Next Level Speakers Podcast. Give it up for yourself, the live studio audience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Get me right, Jay. Give it up one more time for Dr. Hammond. Let's go.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, Dr. Hammond, we're going to get right into it now. Tell the people kind of, what's your background, how you got into this career, and, just lay the foundation for them. Let's get you right. Push it up. It'll be straight.
All right, good. So I'm Dr. Nekeshia Hammond. I have been a psychologist for the past 15 years. I own a private practice. I've been speaking about 10 years. And I juggle a lot of different things, wife, mom, author, speaker. But I met Jeremy a couple of years ago at InvestFest, and I heard him speaking on the stage when he was hosting. And I was so blown away because I've been in speaking for a long time. But what I noticed was how transformational his speaking was. So there's a difference, especially as a psychologist. I'm in the study of mindset, and I knew what he was doing with the audience. And it's one thing to speak and for people to get information, but it's another thing when you go to the next level and you're transforming their lives. And like what he did was so therapeutic for that audience. You could see people crying, you could see people's reactions. I was hearing the audience reactions and I was like, wow, this is so powerful. So I was like, I love speaking, but I was like, let me try to take speaking to another level, right? Like really global impact and really making a greater difference and really making more income, more impact, as we always say. So I joined the Next Level Speakers elite group a couple years ago, and it's been an amazing experience ever since.
Yeah, so really quick, you said you have your own practice. What do you do exactly in your own practice?
Yeah, so I do a lot of things. So I'm there part of the time now. So I do evaluations when I'm there for learning disabilities, ADHD, gifted testing, and looking at diagnosing individuals, if you will, and setting up ways for them to be better and to heal in whatever they're dealing with. So I'm there part of the time. And then the other part of the time is where I really spend in the community advocating for mental health. That's my passion. Serving on boards, volunteering in the community, just making sure I'm finding ways to reach out, speaking obviously, but making sure I'm finding ways to reach out and help people prevent burnout and help people live better lives.
I love it. I love it. You know, what I appreciate and respect about you so much is you are already a successful. You got your practice. You know what I'm saying? You're doing your thing. You're speaking some, but you continue to invest in yourself. And so many times people get to a certain point in life where they're like, hey, I'm doing pretty good, and they go on cruise control. And you know some of the conversations we've had, and I've had with other members who have hit 6 figures and beyond, and I'm like, okay, but keep mashing the gas if you can do more. Like, where did that come from you? Because you could have saw me in InvestFest and was like, that's cool, I'm gonna level up, but you said, no, I'm gonna invest, I'm gonna join, I'm gonna take everything that they have, and then I'm gonna apply it, and now you're getting results. Like, what was it? How come you didn't just say, hey, I'm actually not doing too bad? Like, what was it within you that made you say, you know what, I believe there's even more I can do?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, it really stemmed from just thinking like, how can I help more and more people? I feel a calling on my life to make sure that I am on a massive level helping people, like millions and millions of people, right? And in order to do that, and in order to have that impact, I have to grow as a communicator. I have to be a better speaker. I have to really think about how do I transform people's lives. There's a lot of things that I have on my list of things that I want to do and how I want to help the world. So in order to do that, right, like you said, I have to financially invest in my time and energy, but also being in this program has also, like, on a very deep level, taught me, like, we have to do things at an elite level, right? Like, I know you are always like, okay, the regular stuff, or just like what we talked about, the chicken stuff, we got to be eagles. Like, we have to be thinking elite. Like, everything has to be elite. Social media has to be elite. Your speaking has to be elite. Your business has to be elite. So really, this program also took me mentally to the next level, to a higher level, if you will, and thinking about how can I serve? Because at the end of the day, I'm like, how can I massively serve people? Like, I'm about to start a podcast soon. I have a new book coming out, which you know about, like, all these things.
Give it up.
Yeah.
But it's all about, like, globally, how can we as a community help more people?
Who wrote the foreword to your book?
This gentleman named Jeremy Anderson.
I'm so proud of you. So I got a question. I want you to talk about our TEDx experience. But I think when we were on, talk about that, then I'm gonna tell you what I noticed about your presentation when you did your TED Talk. Go for it.
Yeah, it was a phenomenal experience. So I'm so grateful that you were there, and all of us were there. Coach Chris was there, and Benjamin was there, and there's other people there, and it was such a great experience. But it was very meaningful to be on that stage, if you will. Of course, TEDx and just global audience at that point, because again, just constantly thinking about how can we serve more people? How can we reach more people? And especially for me personally, in the world of mental health, it's so hard. It's like if you had the cure for cancer, right? You would try to tell as many people as possible, hopefully, if you're a decent human being. So that's how I feel. Like, I've been in this field for 15 years. Like, I know how much hurt and pain is out there, and I know how much it can be prevented. I have that information inside. There's no way that I can just keep this information. I have to continue to share it in as many ways as possible, like TEDx, like books, like podcasts, like the show that I have, like my practice, like speaking to different communities all over the world. Like, they're just having an opportunity to serve in that way is something that's really meaningful. And that's what TEDx also did for me as well.
I love it. You know what I realized, bro, as I watched Dr. Hammond take the stage, bro, she was glowing and flowing. And at that moment, I was just like, I've got to change our branding and our language from, if you want to be a motivational speaker, I was like, nah, if you want to be a thought leader, if you want to be an effective communicator, if you want to be a corporate trainer, professional speaker, I had to shift because I saw you on stage and I was like, man, she's not trying to be like me and E.T. She's being her authentic self, and she flowed up there with power and grace, and there was so much depth. And I knew then, like, I've got to tweak the language, because some people might see some of our stuff that we put out and say, well, I'm not a motivational speaker, so this is not for me. But it's like, no, you're a thought leader in this space, right? And you bring inspiration, you bring hope. And so that's just something I realized as you were on stage. About 2 years ago, I think, we were in Miami doing the TED Talk. I was like, I've got to make some adjustments to even how we present what we offer to people, because it's so much more than just motivational, right? It's inspirational, it's thought leaders, it's how to be an effective communicator. And so,
yeah, and that's what I've loved so much about the program, because I really feel like there's space for everyone, right? Because you're right, like, I totally respect how you show up, right? But not all of us are high energy and highly motivational. Like, we all have our different energy levels. If I did that on stage, people are like, whoa, like, what's going on with you? What's wrong with you, right? Because that's just not how I show up. And it's okay. Like, we show up in the way authentically, like you said. If you want to be fiery, if you want to be energetic, like Jeremy or Dr. E.T., great, or not. Like, show up as your authentic self, but there is space for everyone, whether you're a thought leader, whether you're in inspiration, motivation, educational, corporate, schools, wherever you're at, like, there's space in this community. And that's what I appreciate so much. Like, there's room for everyone here.
Dr. Hammond, talk to us a bit about why this field, and maybe, growing up, how this shaped it. I always think it's interesting to see how different thought leaders and speakers come into their field. Like, what was kind of the motivation for you even getting into this mental health and all of this? What's the backstory that led to this?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to help kids especially. When I was a kid myself, I always knew I would do something helping youth or helping people. But really, I think it started from, and I shared a little bit of this in my next book coming up. I really think it started from, I grew up in a single parent home, and I was missing my dad a lot. My mom was an amazing person. She was working like multiple jobs. She wanted to make sure her kids had a good education, all that good thing, and a great place to live, which we had. But for me as a kid, I didn't have the words to say like, hey, I really miss my dad and I'm angry and all these things that I was feeling inside, because she was a single parent doing the best she could. So there was no space for that. So I started learning instead how to hide my emotions, how not to speak up. I was on the outside doing well in school and sports, doing community service, and on the outside looking amazing, but inside just really struggling emotionally. So I think a little part of me, even as a kid, was like, hey, I want to help kids, or I want to help people understand their emotions. I want to help them express themselves. I want to help them thrive and understand, like, you're allowed to express your emotions. You're allowed to thrive, even in the midst of darkness. You're allowed to have that. So I really, when I look back now, of course, as an adult, I see that sort of trend and where that came from. Along with my mom just being an advocate for helping people. Like, we were already starting community service activities even in middle school and then throughout high school. It's always been a part of how do we help someone else with whatever it is we have. We all have different resources. We all have, different bank accounts. We all have different levels of time, but we all have something that we can contribute to help someone. So it really, yes, definitely started in childhood.
That's beautiful. And how does speaking enhance your platform now that you have this tool and this gift? And I think the interesting thing that we talk about all the time is not just the direct speaking of like, oh, I'm going to get booked for gigs every weekend, right? Like, everybody doesn't need that. I've told people all the time, like, if you have a product or service or something that you're already doing, this is an amplifier, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be like, okay, I'm going on a world tour now to speak. It can just be an amplifier for what you're already doing. How does learning this craft amplify your message and maybe bring more opportunity in?
Yeah, and you're right. Speaking just generalizes to many different parts of my life. So including being in the practice, right? Working with professionals, speaking with the companies that I'm speaking with now in order to offer burnout prevention programs. With a new podcast coming up, I know that's obviously going to help with that as well. Running a global show that I run, like, just being able to communicate effectively. It's throughout everything that I'm doing, including my own family life, right? I have an 11-year-old son. I have a husband at home. Like, just thinking about how can I communicate effectively in multiple areas of my life, whether it's, again, with corporations, whether it's in business, whether it's with family, whether it's with friends, coworkers, whomever it is. It's really, really important. That's a massive skill that we should all have, frankly, is learning how to speak and communicate better.
I had already achieved success in Hollywood. Still, something was missing. My name is Gian Shaw, and before I joined the Next Level Speakers Academy, I was a Hollywood stuntman and professional actor. I became an actor and a stuntman because I always knew I had something to say. The problem was, I created a career telling other people's stories, and I knew it was time for me to share my own. The Next Level Speakers Academy has given me invaluable access to a life-changing community and coaches that have helped me form a successful speaking business and achieve success beyond my wildest dreams. Not only has the Academy given me strategies for a successful speaking business, I became a better husband and father who is able to lead my family by finally walking in my purpose. I had the career. Now, because of the Next Level Speakers Academy, I have my voice.
Yeah, and you've done a great job of that. One of the things I noticed from going through your IG page is that you're very consistent with your messaging. That's something that I feel like a lot of people miss, right? Like, you go to their page and you're not exactly sure what they do. I think one of the dopest things that you've been doing is putting out that consistent content. You got your quotes when you come on with your videos, your bio, everything about you speaks to what it is that you do and who it is that you are. How has that helped you in your career and just people finding you and finding your messaging?
Oh, yeah, that's definitely been a game changer. And I will say, for any of you that do go to my IG, if you look back a couple of years before the LEAD program, I was always posting, but kind of here and there and trying to do my own type of posting, but after joining the elite program and understanding like things have to be at the elite level. Like it is a game changer, really. People take notice of that. There are people in my DMs asking for different things like opportunities, right? Different speaking engagements or different podcast interviews or whatever it is that's happening. And the same thing with LinkedIn, but people take notice of that and people care. And it's not just for business only. Yes, it helps for business, but it's also, again, for me, my platform, like I want to be able to share with people takeaways, tips. How do you help yourself? There's so many people that even send me messages like, thank you, I needed this today, right? Like we all need inspiration and we need hope. We have dark days, like we have dark times. So I love sharing inspirational things throughout social media. And again, it's both ways. It's helpful with business and it's helpful with inspiration, and it allows me to share what I know about mental health and prevention. So it is really encompassing for everything.
You know what I appreciate, most about you is you execute and you run the play. And this is something I tell people in our community as a whole and you elite members. Whatever audience that you're speaking to, whatever value you got to ask yourself, okay, what's the maximum value? For that decade when I was in the educational space and I was in middle schools, high schools, universities, like I gave my all to it, which is why I had the next level student shirts, which is why I had the next level student curriculum, which is why I had the next level student weekly show, which is why I had the next level teaching book, which is why I had the next level teaching podcast, which is why I was in the next level teachers on cruise vacations across America, showing up at the school with a bat. I don't know if you've seen the picture with me in the Batman costume. I showed up one time, bro. This one teacher had found out she had cancer, and she was still showing up to school. And the only time she would miss school is if she had chemo. Bro, I showed up in a Batman costume. We had like a mock assembly. We had a big bouquet of flowers. We honored her, and I said, "Ma'am, this is just a costume. You the real hero." Had them come in with the big Royal Caribbean check, and was like a limo's on the way to pick you and your girlfriend up. Like we did, I gave my all to the educational space to add its maximum value. I wouldn't even like a marketing scheme. I'm like, man, if I really care about teachers, if I really care about students, if I really care about making impact, I'm gonna do everything I can in addition to speaking. C was on it started with C. So you got it from me, I got it from C. C told me 10 years ago, like, bro, you killing in the schools, but when you leave, what else? So he been told me about the curriculum. It took me 2 years, Doc, before I finally executed it because I was dodo. And I'm like, bro, I'm getting to the bag. He's like, bro, this curriculum, forget the bag. It's a bag there, but it's even more impact. So when I look at what you're doing, and I'm like, man, you got the show. Now you about to launch the podcast. You putting out great content. You got your YouTube page. You got your book, which is going to be a bestseller. We're going to push that thing heavy. We're going to support that book, right?
Come on, let's go. Claim it.
Like all that value you're adding to that space, and you're blessing millions and changing lives. But guess what happens in the end? You and your business gets blessed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you just give, and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together. That's biblical. She's giving to the mental health space. She's giving the kids with ADHD that's struggling, that's depressed. She's giving to that, and now it's coming back to our business, and now you're having all of this crazy success because you've been sowing seeds into this industry. I'm proud of you. Go ahead, C. Go ahead and speak to that.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
No, what was you about to say?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Yes, very true. I also want to say, though, just to be real, that some days are really hard.
Yeah, talk about it.
Taking things to the next level, I'm not going to say every day is rosy. There have been some times, especially with this book project, behind the scenes, like, it's way more massive than I knew going into it. Trying to make a national bestseller book, very massive project. And there's certain days where I'm like, man, this is too hard. I just want to give up. But then, though, you find the strength because I'm like, but I'm inspired by what Jeremy's doing. I'm inspired by this community. And I hear the stories and I hear, keep going. Like, you got this, right? And you have to, like, mentally get through that. But I'm not saying it's easy. So there are days where I'm like, I just want to give up. It's too hard. Or I'm like, why did you give me this vision? I get mad at God. I'm like, why did you give me this vision? Like, can we do something smaller? Like, can we, take it down a little bit? But it's like, no, like, you wanted to take things to the next level. You're trying to be elite. Like, let's go. But just know, the days are, the hard days are there, but we can get through. We can get through.
Okay, let's talk about my favorite subject now, getting to the bag. You know what I'm saying?
Young Moolah,
my bad. They don't like money out there. I'm the only one. You know what I'm saying? I gotta be the bag guy. I told y'all, eat Gandhi, so I just get to chase the bag down. I'm like, you say the word, I get us paid. Thank you for that, one day. You know what I'm saying? One day got a little extra laugh out of that. Shoot, November 7th right there. That's my birthday twin. Talk to us about monetization, right? Because I think there's this, you get in the program, you start building content, you get the books going, you get the podcast going, you get the audience going, and the views are going up, and the people are coming in. You still have to figure out how to monetize that. I can remember being in the airport and E would have people like screaming out like, yo, is that E.T.? And I'm like, yo, how are we famous and broke? Like I didn't understand, right? And so I know you have your other business as well, but talk about how you began monetizing this side of your business and what that process looked like for you.
Yeah, so I have conversations with different individuals and we're looking at projections, if you will. So this year is a huge major building year, but it would exponentially change the outcomes as far as income as well. But this is a major building the next 6 to 8 months-ish platform. But we're exponentially changing the amount that would come from that.
Absolutely.
Do you see year 1, year 2, year 3, when you talk to the audience and the listeners and the viewers, all the next levelers out there, will you kind of let them know kind of how you've progressed over the years? Like, do you look and say, okay, this year I'm gonna charge 10% more or 20% more, or are you more so letting the market tell you like, oh, you're willing to pay me this amount? Like, how has that journey been? Because I imagine when you first got with us, there was one amount you're getting paid, and now there's another amount that you can demand.
Yeah, the first year when I learned more about the business tools or whatnot, then the year after that was like my largest year of speaking as far as income on the speaking side of it. That was the largest year. Then this year, we're taking a step back because there's so many things that we're building, but again, exponentially changing on the income side. But with the book, the podcast coming out, the merch, the online classes, like there's so many parts.
Come on, multiple streams. Give it up for multiple streams. Yeah. That was about 4, 5 right there. Come on. You only need 7 to hit that milli.
So I want y'all to catch. I want y'all to catch what she said. She said, yep, I was doing good, then I was doing better, and then she said, I took a step back. Mm-hmm. And you're putting even more money back into your business.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, yes.
So I often say, and I'm gonna teach on this later, the importance of you not eating your seeds. So like last year, easily made 6 figures speaking, easily, like blew that through the roof, right? But it's just like, okay, you're still gonna do that, but it's like, I ain't trying to make $400,000. I'm about to take the money I made and put that back into my business so I can really fuel the book so we can be a national bestseller, so I can launch this podcast and I can produce more shows and I can create more content and online courses. And guess what that podcast is gonna do? Bring back more revenue. It's gonna bring her more demand to jump on more stages. Guess what her course is gonna do? It's gonna create generational wealth for her and her family. So it's like you're investing back in your business, and that's what some people don't realize. Yeah. Even me, where I'm at, I'm still putting money back in. I'm still investing, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what it takes to go to the next level. So I wanted just to acknowledge that and wanted to make sure our listeners and our viewers didn't miss what you said. You went from one level to the next level, then you said, I ain't even trying to go there. I'm about to invest more in so I can skyrocket.
Correct. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Because you have a choice at some point. I mean, you have a choice, and I'm not here to say what to do or what not to do, but you can choose to plateau at a comfortable level, or you can choose to skyrocket your business, like you said. So that's my choice, which is a harder journey, but by the grace of God, here I am. So yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Dr. Hammond, one of the main things that I know I get asked, I'm sure Jeremy, maybe even yourself, from speakers all the time is like, all right, cool, how do I build my team though? Like, I can't do this all myself. Like, I'm working a full-time job, I'm speaking, I'm editing, I'm putting it out, I'm doing YouTube, I'm doing Instagram, I'm putting it out on TikTok, it's overwhelming. How do I find people who are willing to help and be a part of this journey? What was your experience like with adding people to the team or helping, and did it start like us where it was like, hey, Mom, can you proofread this book? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, how did it start, grassroots? Yeah,
grassroots. So I mean, I use Upwork. For example, I have one of my teams is on there that I've had for years. But right now, to your point.
Know what Upwork is?
I
hear some notes. Yeah,
okay, so Upwork.com. They have a ton of freelancers in a lot of different areas. So right now, to your point, there's so many tasks. There's no way that I could physically manage all of them. So between Upwork and some other virtual assistants that I have, there's, I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 people or so doing a lot of different things like social media, like PowerPoint presentations, graphic design, I already said social media, but like editing, like I said, there's so many parts. But Upwork.com, for example, is a great tool. There's a lot of tools out there, but definitely I would highly recommend starting with one. You don't have to, start with a team of 10 to 15 people, but start with one virtual assistant to get something off your plate. Because if you're trying to take things to the next level, you do not have enough time to do all of what it entails by yourself. Like, I don't know how that would be possible.
What would you suggest somebody who hires their first VA have them do?
And
yeah.
when you answer that, are you managing those people, or do you have someone else that manages them?
Right now, I'm managing them. Yeah, but the workload is very spread out.
But I need them to see that, because
Yeah.
there are people that's looking at Dr. Hammond like, man, she on stage with JNC and she killing it, but she putting that work in. I tell people all the time, don't covet the stages we on, covet the sacrifices that we made to be on those stages. So to know that you're operating at this super high level, but you still are managing those people, that's impressive. Go ahead.
Yeah, and to answer your question as well, I would probably say social media for a virtual assistant. Let me put an asterisk on that. If you have the time to post consistently on social media and it looks great and people are commenting and all the things and people are highly engaged, then continue to do it yourself in the time being. But if you don't have the time, then that would definitely be one of the areas I would consider, as well as lead generation, for example, to get leads for speaking would be a good use of a virtual assistant to start with. And then again, once you get more funds, then you have more funds to invest in a larger team. But as much as you can, keep adding to your team to take things off your plate so that you can work more on your personal brand and taking things really to the next level, and then the next level.
All right, as we conclude here, tell us, we know the New York Times bestseller is coming. What's next for Dr. Hammond in terms of that worldwide goal? Jess and I talked, she got some pretty lofty goals of, being the number one in all things interviewing and women and taking it to the next level. What's like your ultimate goal? Like, where do you see yourself 5-10 years where you say, man, I did it? What does that look like?
Ooh, that's a deep question. So a couple things. One is I've always wanted to have a foundation where I help children in Ethiopia. So my dad is from Ethiopia. I've been once and met some of my family that still lives out there. But I really feel called to help kids in Ethiopia. So that'll be a huge chunk of what I would be doing 5 to 10 years from now, as well as helping youth and helping different organizations in my local community, which is Tampa Bay, as well, and continue to speak, continue to make more impact. I feel like with this field, what's great about it is especially when you continue to be in these communities, you honestly learn more and more ways to impact others, which is exciting. So I'm always trying to stay open-minded and have the mindset, like, how can I help more people? So I've learned so much, of course, from Jeremy in this community, but again, 5-10 years from now, I'm still gonna be in that space. Like, how can I continue to grow the business? How can I continue to help more people through speaking, through mental health advocacy, through my foundation, and through providing different resources to allow people to thrive.
Last question. One piece of advice for our newbies here. We got some newbies, first timers. They were nervous. They're excited. They're trying to figure out what their place is in this community. Give them a piece of advice to take home with them after their first weekend with us.
Yeah. So for the newbies out there, I would definitely say make sure that you invest your time, energy, efforts within this community, because it's a really supportive community. I've been here for a couple of years now. I feel like the OG club or something like that. But it's because it's such a great supportive place, because there's so much, you don't know what you don't know. But when you're around like-minded people, then you start to learn more tools. You're like, oh, Upwork, okay. Like, there's certain tools that I learned here in this community as well. You're like, oh, I didn't even know that existed, right? But you can only learn those things when you interact, when you stay active in the community, when you learn and execute on what you're learning, when you get your reps in, when you're working on being better. If you have that mindset of being better, you're going to take things to the next level. When you have the mindset of knowing the dark days will come and the hard times will come and you're going to feel like giving up if you're working on something that makes you feel uncomfortable, but knowing that you can get through, you're going to get through, right? But stay active in this community and make sure you continue to support one another and collaborate.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Dr. Hammond. Hey, shout out to all y'all listening. Shout out to our live audience. Appreciate y'all. This is the Next Level Speakers Podcast. We out of here.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Jeremy Anderson here, founder of Next Level Speakers Academy. And look, we're always looking to see how we can take to the next level. Me and my team have been meeting, and we said, man, how can we enhance the experience, right? How can we put the people within our community in the best position to get as many opportunities to speak and share their gift and their message with the world? I am pleased to announce that we have just launched our Next Level Brand Studio. For those of you all that's in the Facebook group and online and send me DMs, Jeremy, who did your website? Who does your branding? Who did your EPK? Who does your reel? We now build a team of people that's been working with us for years that's now going to work with you. So for those of you all that want a brand, right? You want a real custom logo and an EPK and business cards. You really want to put yourself in the best position to really be taken seriously. We've got the opportunity for you, right? For those of you that said, man, I need a website that's nice like yours, Jeremy. I don't have as much content, but I got enough to get a really strong website to put me in the best position. Man, we've done so many websites. We've got the team, the crew ready to support you. For those of y'all that realize people don't want to book speakers who are trying to be speakers, they want to book speakers who are already speaking. And you understand the importance of having a real polished and powerful professional speakers reel. Man, we got the team that's been working with me for over a decade, and now my team is your team. So whether you need a brand, a branding and a logo and EPK and all of that, whether you need a brand new website, whether you need a speakers reel, Next Level Brand Studio is the go-to place for premier speakers like you. It's ready to take your message and your brand and your story to the next level.